This is a once-in-a-lifetime car. The car is literally plucked out of time. You don't see that. I want to be able to stand by this car and say we did everything perfectly to the book as it should be for a car of this vintage with this miles. So the car was acquired from one of our own clients, purchased from us new in May of 1986. He called us because the car was just sitting in his garage and he wanted to get up and running. And when we saw it, it was an 8,900 mile example, an absolute time capsule. I convinced the owner to sell me the car. I was able to pull some of the paperwork from when the car originally was sold from here, and it's one service visit, which was a battery in late '86. And that's it. The car has literally never been touched by any other store other than ours. So when the opportunity came up to fully restore this car back to its original glory, we couldn't pass it up. When the car sits for that long, things start to deteriorate. Rubber seals, there's rust on certain panels. Just things from overall neglect, not necessarily use, are just as damaging. But it did afford us the ability to really showcase what we specialize in, which is restoration instead of replacement. Now granted, every restoration takes a life of its own based on the original product you start with, but the Porsche Restoration Challenge really gave us an opportunity to take a great canvas, showcase what we can do, and instead of taking a car that was misused, mishandled, and abused and not maintained, we took something that you actually run into every once in a while, and more often now than ever, a car sitting in a garage untouched, and it really gave us an opportunity to touch every corner of that car without any excuses whatsoever of how it looked. For example, the top is not available as one piece from Porsche. So the top can be months to get. Some features that we're going to highlight and repair on the car will include a full paint correction and paint restoration. The original finish on the car is only ever that way from the factory, and it's our goal to get it as close to that as possible during our restoration process. One of the features of this car, obviously convertible, but susceptible to damage. We'll be replacing all the carpeting, repairing anything on the underside that could have been damaged in the wiring. Seats get sent out to be restored. Once again, restored, not replaced.
As you can see, the condition, rodents and things will be affecting here, and just everything is dry rotted and sitting and not being preserved the way it should be. It's a perfectly good 3.2 flat 6-cylinder engine that Porsche has created for over the years. We will be taking out the aftermarket radio. We'll remove it, and then we'll be installing a new Porsche radio. It'll have Bluetooth function, it'll be Apple CarPlay, it'll have navigation, and it'll bring back to the new standards of today's cars.
Status of the project is disassembly. Taking parts off, organizing them right in the right bags, the right numbers. It's not just as simple as going to the parts department and ordering a list of parts for a car that many parts are out of production on. So proper cataloging of all those individual pieces right down to washers and screws and seals and grommets are important to do. It's only ever original once, and we try to preserve that at every turn. The biggest challenge is vendor alignment. It's not just our place that we have these specialists working. They're working on other project cars from other owners as well. And being able to have good relationships with them to get the timing right. Parts have to be sent out for restoration, parts have to be put back in at the right time. That has to coincide with the body restoration, which, although we're not doing much paint work, we're spending just as many man hours bringing that paint back to life, bringing it back to its old shine without doing much refinishing at all. That requires timing that sometimes vendors, some of them being across the country, my leather guy's in California, but he's the best in the country. Sometimes lining those up are the biggest logistical challenge. Everything else, when it comes to what to do, we know that already. It's the things we can't control. Be able to find something in that condition, have the resources available at my disposal to see the vision of where I want that car looking like new without having to do any major rework. You don't run into them very often when you can bring them back to their former glory. When that opportunity came up, I couldn't pass it up. Is it more work? 100% absolutely. It's easier to paint it. But the car deserved more, Porsche deserved more, and the challenge definitely was a great forum to show that.